Right then, lads, welcome back to Cossy's Arsenal podcast. My name is Cossy. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in all parts of the world. Welcome back to the channel. Welcome back to a brand new video. I come with some positivity. We're going to be diving into the latest around Arsenal, but some positive vibes. Now, Arsenal have agreed personal terms with Kai Havertz, who has given us the green light to go and bid again for his signature. According to Fabrizio Romano, Arsenal have now the green light from the player, and he's also pushing to leave Chelsea this summer. Arsenal will be looking to make a bid 45 million rising to 60. We'll be talking about that in this video. Of course, it also means that Arsenal's money will be used to sign Moises Caicedo to Chelsea. That is also in discussion as well. We'll be talking about our opening game of the new season, which will be on the 12th of August. And that is at the Emirates Stadium against Nottingham Forest. Not a bad game, not a bad game at all. We'll be talking about that and our season ambitions as well. And Balogun could be ending up at Inter Milan because they're looking for a Dzeko replacement, and they look at him as a new striker who can actually replace Edin Dzeko. Hit the like button for me, subscribe to the podcast as well. Easy question for you guys in the comment box below. If it means that we sign Kai Havertz, but Chelsea get money to buy Caicedo, should we call the deal off? That is the question we are having today in the comment box below. If we give them 60 million euros and they get that 60 million and place it on the table for Brighton to sign Moises Caicedo, should we call that deal off? Because in a way, they are strengthening Arsenal, but definitely it's our money that's giving them Moises Caicedo. I want your thoughts there. I want your opinions as well, because that is what is going to happen. Now, Arsenal today have also learned that the fixtures are out. We have a couple of good fixtures in the opening 10 games. I think, there's some quite very, very nice fixtures. But our opening game is this one. Arsenal at home taking on Nottingham Forest on opening day. So we will take on Nottingham Forest at the Emirates Stadium on opening day. I don't think that's a bad game. I think it's a fair way to start the campaign. Of course, you guys let me know in the comment box below, what are our season ambitions when it comes to the Premier League? And don't tell me we have not done transfers, because I think the better part of this squad has been formed. Like, to be honest, I think, look, our midfield lacks one player, and that's the CDM to replace Granit Xhaka. I don't think much is going to change on our forward line, and our defensive shape has also already taken shape. Our defensive line has already taken shape, and our goalkeeper has just signed a new deal. So maybe 1 or 2 signings to come into the starting 11, or 3. So that means our season ambitions do not change, whether we have signed 100 players or we have signed none. So let me know in the comment box below, what are our season ambitions? But Nottingham Forest at home in the opening fixture, that is a game I would really, really love. Now, last campaign, we won this fixture 5-0. Odegaard scoring, Partey on the score sheet as well. I think Saka scored. I'm not really sure, but I think Saka scored. I think Martinelli scored as well. I mean, it was a goals galore. 5 goals in one game, right? 5-0, keeping a clean sheet as well. So that is how we will launch our campaign. It will be a Saturday, early kickoff, 12:30 UK time. That will be 2:30. East African Standard Time. So make sure you are bracing yourselves for that game. It won't come very, very far away, because we have so many games in July. We have a game in the Emirates Cup in August at the beginning of the month. Of course, you have the Community Shield against Manchester City. That will be on 6th, and then 6 days later, we take on Nottingham Forest. We should win that one. Like, definitely, we should win that game. Right, let's dive into Fabrizio Romano's update on Kai Havertz, who says that Arsenal are still really pushing to get that deal done. And he says he understands that Kai Havertz has given Arsenal the green light to sign him and contract him after positive indications. No problem on personal terms. That has already been agreed. Arsenal are in contact. No chance for 75, but Chelsea will be very, very flexible. Bayern informed, but still very quiet. Real Madrid out of the race 100%. That is confirmed by Fabrizio Romano, like you can see there on your screen. Listen, I think there are 2 things to think about here when it comes to this deal. Number one is, look, the agreement on personal terms was always going to happen. I think we're in such a pole position, in a good mode, right? You know, that good mode. We're in such a very good mode in terms of, you know, giving players huge salaries. I'm hearing Kai is going to be earning around 200 or even 250,000 a week. Arsenal are ready to match his wages and salaries at Chelsea. It's too much, but if Mikel wants the guy, then definitely we should get him. And of course, this is very easier as compared to the Declan Rice deal, where you have 100 million and things like that. I think in this one, Chelsea want to sell if the player doesn't want to renew. The player wants out of Chelsea. Arsenal need the player, and it looks very positive. So the green light, of course, from Kai Havertz is a sign that he's desperate to get out of there. He's really desperate to find a new life, probably in London, probably somewhere else. As long as it's new, as long as he's going to go somewhere and establish himself as a starter, he won't have a problem with that. Now, the problem here is that the valuation of Chelsea could be around 65 to 70 million. Arsenal's bid will be 45 million, close to 50, rising up to 60 with add-ons. So we are expecting around 45 million in terms of guaranteed payments, and then around 10 million euros or 12 million euros in terms of what will be paid in add-ons or later on if the player actually does very well at Arsenal. Look, you know my opinions, you know my thoughts. I think I don't have a problem with Arsenal going as high as 60 million. As long as we don't pay those astronomical figures, I don't have a problem. Like, you can't pay a King's Joe for Kai Havertz, right? Even you can't. We just can't do that, right? This is not ransom. This is business. So 60 million, including or inclusive of add-ons, would be for me a very good deal done by Arsenal on that regard. Very good. But this is my problem here. We signed Kai Havertz. Chelsea will have the money to sign Moises Caicedo, right? That is the only bit that troubles me, because Chelsea have just made it very clear that to sign Moises Caicedo, they will need to sell. Right, they will need to sell players. They will need to move on some players in order for them to sign Moises Caicedo. They're looking to move on Romelu Lukaku to Inter Milan or Saudi Arabia. It will depend. Kai Havertz, Mason Mount, Callum Hudson-Odoi, Conor Gallagher, and all these other players. But to be realistic, and if we are gonna be realistic, where is the money gonna come from for Chelsea? The money is gonna come from the sale of Kai Havertz potentially before June. It's also going to come from Mason Mount, the sale of Mason Mount before maybe July ends, okay? So the sale of Kai Havertz is more likely to happen quicker and earlier than the sale of any other players. And that means that they will directly get this money and use it to lure Moises Caicedo at the Stamford Bridge. I'm not okay with that. I'm not even going to pretend. Look, missing out on Caicedo is not the end of the world. After all, I'm a big fan of Martin Zubimendi, and I'm a big fan of Edson Alvarez. If Arsenal are serious about a defensive midfielder, like, we can get one of those guys and everything will be all right. But seeing Arsenal getting 60 million, giving it to Chelsea, and then them strengthening Caicedo and Enzo Fernandez, that is something else. That is going to be something else. Imagine having Caicedo, Enzo Fernandez, and potentially if they could get a good creative player in that team. I think Enzo Fernandez is a very good game controller. I think his passing range is also very fine, and he's a deep lying playmaker, right? He's going to be your box to box, create a lot of chances from deep. But just if they can get that Cesc Fabregas, man, and then partner with Enzo Fernandez, come on, that is gonna be fire, right? So. But still, look, it looks like our hands are tied. We want an asset from there. They are willing to sell. They are willing to negotiate. They are willing to be flexible. And the player has given us the green light to sign. And Mikel Arteta has said he is the player he wants. However much I think about it in a negative way, I don't think we can change it. I don't think it's going to be... I think it will happen. It's a deal that I think will happen. So Moises Caicedo, after all, Arsenal have cooled their interest. We have withdrawn our interest in Moises Caicedo. It looks like Chelsea are now having kind of a free run. Probably not a free run potentially, but they're looking at all these other clubs interested, and they're asking themselves, who is going to pay 80 million? Who's going to pay 85 million for Moises Caicedo? Man United with Casemiro? No. Bayern? I don't see Bayern go for 80 million for Moises Caicedo. No. Who else could go for Moises Caicedo for 80 million? Liverpool have just shown that this window alone, they are willing to spend 80 million on 3 players. We know it's Liverpool. That is their transfer, strategy. So for me, Havertz is a good addition. Caicedo will be a good addition to Chelsea. There is nothing to do. We cannot change it. We definitely cannot change it. And it is what it is. Like, that's what I've got to say. It is what it is. Inter Milan are interested in Florian Balogun as a replacement for Edin Dzeko. Now, talks are progressing between Arsenal and the representatives of Florian Balogun, but it is believed that Arsenal are very open to sell. I've talked about this before, and Balogun could be heading for Italy because there's so many clubs interested in him over there. Maybe I've had like Aurelio De Laurentiis thinks that if Victor Osimhen goes, Florian Balogun could be that kind of young striker that just comes into that Napoli side. He's also very young, is brilliant, and then he can get on going very, very quickly. I still think Napoli, if they lose Victor Osimhen, they will need to sign another good striker. They do have Raspadori, so maybe Balogun and Raspadori, that might not be a bad shout, but we will see what happens. But him going to Inter Milan, in terms of his development, I think it works very well. It really, really works very well in terms of for the player. Because, listen, there is Lukaku, potentially Lautaro Martinez might stay at the club. Joaquin Correa is that, not really your number 9, but I think Joaquin Correa is one of the most exciting players in the Italian Serie A if given the chance. So if Balogun goes there, I don't think he will be playing every single game, every single minute for Inter Milan. But I think the fact that they always play that front two will give him so many opportunities. One, to learn from the best. I think Lautaro Martinez is a wonderful strike partner to work with. He drops deep a lot of the time. He's hardworking. He's always gonna work for you and bring that ball on a silver plate. And I think Florian Balogun in the Italian Serie A over the last few years, we have seen that goals are not hard to score in this league. You think about Paulo Dybala, who has scored like huge amounts of goals in the Italian Serie A, Ciro Immobile as well, Lautaro Martinez, Romelu Lukaku, Cristiano Ronaldo, Gonzalo Higuain, and all these other very, very interesting strikers, the likes of Domenico Berardi and the others. And in his first season as well, I think Tammy Abraham scored a couple of goals, and he did very, very well. So I think the Italian Serie A would be a nice fit for Balogun. It has raised its level to not only Juve, but all these other teams can say, "What's up?" Just imagine you're fighting for. Is it called the Pichichi? Or the Pichichi is the one in Spain? The Golden Boot in Italy. How is it called? I think the Pichichi is the one in Spain, isn't it? But you're fighting for that Golden Boot with potentially, if Osimhen stays, with Lautaro Martinez, who would be your teammate, with Tammy Abraham at Roma, and I think Roma also have another. I think they have Andrea Bellotti, who is very, very interesting as a striker. I mean, his profile is interesting to me. But Vlahovic, if he doesn't leave at Juve, could be another really good shout. And maybe Rasmus Haaland if he doesn't leave Atlanta. So if he goes in there, and this is where Arsenal need to put and insert a buyback clause in Balogun's contract. Let him go wherever he goes. I would really say let him go to Italy. He will develop into a good striker. And then 2 seasons, we buy him back. I mean, Madrid has always done this kind of business, hasn't it? They give you a player, you boast around with him, and when he does well, what do? they buy him back. It's the same thing as FC Barcelona. So for me, if we can put a buyback clause of around 30 million or 35 million, and then we sell him for, okay, if we can put a buyback clause of 40 million and we can sell him for 40, rising to 45 million pounds, that would be a very, very good deal. He's currently 19 or 20. In the next 2 years, he will be 22, and we will have established whether he is a really prominent striker to play in Europe's top 5 leagues, or he's a Hawks. If he's a Hawks, we don't trigger the buyback clause. If he's not a Hawks and he's such a very good player, we actually buy him back. So Balogun doesn't want to stay. Talks are ongoing, but the direction of the talks indicates that Arsenal will actually lose him. Don't have a problem with losing him. This guy is coming in, Kai Havertz. So with Kai Havertz coming in, and of course Gabriel Jesus there with his energy, I would be okay with Balogun leaving, because still he's not valued more than Eddie Nketiah to Mikel Arteta. I think Arteta has looked at Eddie and goes, Eddie, you're my guy. Okay, who's your guy? Eddie is my guy. So if Eddie is Mikel Arteta's guy, then definitely the one thing to do for Balogun, move on. But Arsenal should be very smart to put a buyback clause in his contract, unless the club, the parent club that is buying him, are going to insert a release clause. But if it's not that, put a buyback clause and seal the deal. So I'll see you right in the next one. I'll be talking about Declan Rice. We'll be talking about our fixtures. I'm going to predict every single game on our fixture list next season. Early predictions. Make sure you tune in for that one. And of course, I'll do my late predictions before we start the season. I will predict each and every game after the transfer window, after looking at who we will have signed. See you soon. See you soon.